brought in two folks today, Emily Kadega and Leslie Burmeister, to talk to you about the different Baker Library resources that are available to you as you're working on your venture or working for a startup. I do also want to plug, we added a resources tab to our CODA document, so you can find all of the Baker resources that they're going to talk about today, as well as some other entrepreneurship resources there. And so with that, I will turn it over to Emily and Leslie.
Great. Thank you. Thanks, Emily and Ben. So my name is Emily Kadega. I am the manager of our customer engagement team here, which means kind of talking to students like you and doing kind of course support and supporting students wherever we can. And I'm here with my colleague, Leslie Burmeister, who can introduce herself as well.
Yes, my name is Leslie. As Emily said, I work in the same team managing the research and development team. So we look at, can we launch new products and services for students based on students' user needs and things like that. And I also am product owner for our website. So any feedback on that, appreciated. But we will get right into it. Pass back to Emily.
Yeah. So basically just an introduction of who we are here at Baker. So we are the largest academic library in the world. I also or academic business library in the world. I also like to think we are the best as well. And so we serve business research needs across the university, and we're open to all Harvard, current Harvard affiliates. And that includes, of course, the MBA students. We work with alumni. So even once you've graduated, we get quite a few questions from alumni. That's always a question. It's like, what do I do after I'm done here at HBS? And we have a team of about 16 librarians and staff who work directly with researchers. And our main focus is on the MBA student population in our group in Curriculum and Learning Services. And so we're here to kind of help you get the information that you need to make decisions and kind of give you some actionable insights. So that's a lot of the goals that we have, which really, dovetails really well with kind of the entrepreneurship and startup landscape. We get about 7,000 questions each year. A lot of those are around startups or business plans. And we're going to go today through kind of some of the resources that we particularly wanted to highlight for this group that you have access to. There's always more that you have access to. That's why we also encourage you to reach out to us as well. But we wanted to give you a nice viewpoint of kind of the what we think are really particularly value add for this group of folks. So how we end up working with you is that kind of we can help look at players, competitors, who's funding you. We can also help with determining market sizes or the industry overall. So we have a lot of resources around that, and just keeping up with trends and topics. And that's kind of the viewpoint that we're looking at here in terms of the resources that we're going to be taking a look at together. So really we support entrepreneurs and those working kind of in the startup space every day and kind of in these three spaces specifically. And I'll pass it over to Leslie.
Yes, thanks, Emily. So our homepage, our URL is library.hbs.edu. You can obviously just Google HBS Baker Library. This is what the homepage looks like. You'll see that a lot of the top resources, including Pitchbook and Refinitiv, which we're going to talk about today, are right there on the homepage under top databases. But for a complete list of what's available to you, you can navigate to Find and go to databases. We also have some research guides under Find, and one of which is a guide called the Entrepreneurship Toolkit. And so that features a lot of the resources we're talking about now, but this is a brief presentation and that has even more. So this is how you get started. Okay, so identifying players, potential competitors, funders, deals, that kind of thing. We have the wonderful news is that we have an embarrassment of riches. So we have put together an FAQ comparing some of the top VCPE databases. And I've just taken a screenshot of the URL and the slide deck we will pass along to Ben and Emily's post to this FAQ is right there. But we're looking at Pitchbook, Frequent, CB Insights, and Capital IQ, right? And the top line is just what's the bottom line. And so Pitchbook, I like to say, is great for the portfolio companies. It has really great verticals and goes into emerging spaces. It's really good on individual contact information and startup valuation. It's really easy to use. Bad news is there's basically no downloading, considering the downloading of it. And so I'm not going to go through the pros and cons of all the other ones here. I will say that Frequent is a little bit better on the fund and fund manager side of things, fund performance, that kind of thing, which is less relevant, but maybe of interest to this crew. And Capital IQ is one that we like to highlight because it's just all around really good and you can identify HBS alumni. Thank you.
And I will give a plug for CB Insights. I feel like it's kind of underused. I mean, you do have more download capabilities and it is not dissimilar in lots of ways to Pitchbook. So I'm just giving a quick plug to CB Insights.
Yes, it's true. And I'd say it's the most powerful Pitchbook. So thank you, Emily. All right. Okay, so let's take a look at Pitchbook. This might be a little hard to read depending on what sort of screen you're in front of. But I like to just highlight how to do a quick screening for potential competitors, or maybe it's like partners for the startup that you're working on. And so on the left-hand side in blue is all of the sort of launch pads for the different searches that you can do. And the top one is companies and deals. And I went straight to the industry tab, which is where the arrow is pointing to, because I feel like that's really Pitchbook's strength. Is you can see, you can search by traditional industry, but they also have what's on the screen just goes through C. They have a ton of verticals. So it's really great to get at those sort of like hard to identify spaces that a lot of startups are operating in. And then they have even sort of more emerging spaces over there on the right. And they also have a very powerful like and or search. If any of you are sort of logic nerds, this is your basic Boolean searching, right? So I've highlighted the search here for clean tech as a vertical, but then I also want materials as a keyword, and I want to narrow in the focus a little bit more. And so you can see all, and we'll do the second screen that we're, or the second slide that we're going to look at, we'll tab over to another very popular way to do your screening, which is, okay, maybe I want to find this clean tech materials focused startups that have received or that are through the series C, Series A, and Series B stage. But you can see you can get like super granular, and you can obviously do other things like the general location, some other sort of basic company information, like number of employees, year founded. You might want to have parameters around sizes of the deals, that sort of thing. But I'm just sort of showing you, you can just sort of scroll through all of those tabs on the left to add to your search. And then you would just hit search as you're going. You can also see how many results you're getting. So I've got like 553 here so far. Yeah, go ahead, Emily. Emily's my driver today. Okay, so this is what the results from that screen look like of 553 companies. One thing I really like to show, especially with a large screening, a large results pool like this, is Pitchbook will automatically segment this out with a really nice market map. So you can see, how these are clustering together, what the kind of landscape of this space looks like. You can also change the view. That's the other arrow on the right. Is you can easily add columns to this table. As I said, downloading is it's 10 daily and 25 monthly release of data. So it's a limited utility, but you can see up there, there's a save button. It's really helpful to say the name of your screenings. And there's also, you can easily share a link between your colleagues and collaborators to search it.
Right, and your collaborators would also have to have Pitchbook accounts, but I do like the save because it is kind of creating a space where you can keep track of all of your work. So you might not be able to download it into Excel, but you will have one place where you can start putting companies that you want to keep an eye on, and kind of create your own list. You can do different, you can create kind of different lists. So you're not like leaving the database with nothing, like, because you do have your own account and you're able to save kind of your lists of companies that you want to keep an eye on.
Thank you. And while you go to the next screen, what I didn't say when I was overviewing our homepage, right, is that all of these resources are either accessible via like an individual account that you set up or through your MBA credentials or your Harvard feed. Okay, so this is just a company profile from Pitchbook, and this was the first of the search results that we just looked at. And features that I really love about the company profile is the similar companies are really good. They're really strong. But overlooked source of data, I feel like in this is the patents actually. But I just think Pitchbook is the most, it will have the most complete valuation information on startups overall amongst all of our resources. So you can definitely dig into those financials, and it just also, as you can see, visualizes things really well. Anything to add about the company profile? I'm going to use them.
No, you got it.
And these are actually, there's no limit on downloading company profiles as PDFs, to my knowledge. I have not hit that anyway. So
Yeah, me neither. So that is a good thing to point out, that you can download those without trouble.
And we did, right, we did walk through an industry or like potential competitor screening, but you can definitely toggle over to search specifically for investors or deals, things like that. So you're just kind of like changing the framework of the search with the same data tool. But depending on your needs, you can start out with the investor search, or the deal search, etc. And if we have time, we can dive into the slide, but Emily and I are fast talkers, so we'll probably get through this, but okay.
But we also want time to answer your questions too.
Yeah.
So
Yes, we do.
Okay.
All right. So understanding the industries, sizing up the market. There are some reports actually in Pitchbook on certain emerging fields, but it's not comprehensive. It might not be in the area that you're working on. So we wanted to highlight another suite of tools available to you, which are market research databases. So third-party providers research, doing secondary research on the market. A lot of you may be doing primary research, but that can also be supplemented by sources such as Mintel, Passport, eMarketer, some of the other ones listed here, Frost and Sullivan. And you definitely want a different research database depending on the industry. And we go to the next slide in a second. On the database list, we try to highlight, which databases are good for which industries. But we do have a nice way to just filter down the database list to those market research databases. Then we'll take a quick hop into Refinitiv, which is our main source of equity research. And obviously, most equity research is focused on public companies, but there's really good industry reports in there, in particular for startups that are really good at looking at the outlook and newcomers that are disrupting incumbents and things like that. So definitely a rich source of data available to you while you are students. And then there's some great demographic databases, which again, depending on your project, are really helpful for mapping out potential target markets. You're trying to launch an app and you want to know where all of the wealthy 45-year-old women are. You can visualize that in something like Simply Analytics that has a lot of good data points. So we'll focus on that. Okay, so on our website, as I said, you can navigate to find databases, and there's a category called market research, and that will link to all of our market research databases. Strangely, in the screenshot, I'll take a look at this. I don't know why it's showing 14. I feel like we have a little bit more, but that's a nice shortcut. That's a really useful category. There's also in the categories with a deals and transactions related category, which is another way to filter it down to even more VCPE databases besides the ones that we highlighted in that part. But this is a great way to easily get to this good stuff. Okay, and the good news about the market research databases is that for the most part, their interfaces are super intuitive and easy to use. So I just highlighted, how easy it is to use these, like you can just type in payments. These are screenshots from Frost and Sullivan and eMarketer, and most of them are I will say most of them are US leaning in their coverage, most but not all. As you can see from the Captain Sullivan example, there's a lot of global reports that are coming out first for payments. So definitely play around, and depending on your markets, in the descriptions on the database page that we just looked at before, it should give an indication of whether it's global coverage or limited to certain markets. All right, so here is a screenshot of Refinitiv for that equity research. And we have an FAQ where we'll go over how to do some advanced searching for analyst reports in Refinitiv, which again is linked to right here. But Refinitiv is obviously a very large platform, a Bloomberg-like platform for company information, just general financials, but we're highlighting the research function here. And so you tab to research and advanced search, and this is the interface that you get. And a few just tips and tricks that I like to highlight is that in the keyword search bar, where right here I'm searching for clean tech or clean energy, you can definitely toggle to search in the title specifically. You can then, if you see the little plus sign there, add additional keywords, and maybe you want to search for something else, but not in the title and the full text of the report. Two recommendations that I would like to make besides changing the dates on the left is the exclude contributors by type. There are some providers in here that aren't brokers or in investment research and are of some value, but I would say are not as strong as content. So I usually exclude that and focus on broker content. And then under report types is where you can focus on industry specifically, which I feel like if you're doing research for a startup, it's not always. Sometimes you might want to look specifically at the company, but a lot of times the industry search is the way to go. So that is how you do that is a 10-second view of searching on Refinitiv. But again, we actually have a quick video on that FAQ that will walk you through how to do a Refinitiv search. I will say there's a 150 page day limit on reports. But I think that if you for some reason you blow through that and are in a time sensitive situation, you could come to the library and so if you're in the area and use Refinitiv on our terminals. Also, sometimes you might find an amazing report, especially in the life sciences, that's what 300 pages long. And you can just email our main email, which we will highlight at the end of this presentation, and we will grab that report for you because we have super powers.
Right, there's like a very popular Cowan report on like pharmaceuticals, like I think oncology drugs. Anyway, it's like 2,000 pages, which we basically have that we will send you. So yeah, always ask if there's a huge one, like don't hesitate to just shoot us an email because a few of them we already kind of know of, and we know you can't download it. Actually, it barely lets us download it with more download capabilities. So just don't hesitate to ask us.
Which is a good guideline overall.
Yeah.
we are here to answer questions. Yep. Okay, and I'm just showing a screenshot here of Simply Analytics, which I said is, as I explained, is one of the sort of data visualization tools available to you here at Harvard that has really good consumer demographic information. And, some of it is from, as you can see on the left, from the US Census Bureau, but there's also some proprietary sources from, I believe, Simmons. And so they will have those sort of marketing speak categories of like, white wine moms and, like that sort of thing. So there's some really interesting ways to slice and dice the population. It is US focused, so that's something to consider. And I will say like that, Emily and I, our team are basic proficient. Sometimes complicated searches, you might need to reach out to them for help, but they are super available for help. So just a caveat there. We can get you started if you're doing something super advanced. We might need to call them with the dogs for you. Yeah.
Great. And so I'm picking it up with looking at like trends and topics. And, you know, there are plenty of sources that do like article searching, but kind of getting more flavor for kind of what's happening in an industry. And so we start with Factiva, which is just basically like a great aggregator of both trade publications and like news organizations. They also have a really great search capabilities. So instead of just like, let's say just Googling and getting news and picking and choosing, it just has it in one place, which I really like. So it really allows for like that targeted topic that you might be looking for. And here we've just outlined it some, and we'll look at a screenshot of it as well, but looking at word count, you know, HLP, which is like headline, lead, paragraph, and making sure your term appears a few times, because it's so much content, it can be like a fire hose. So we have some advice on how to approach looking at it, but it's great because it has like press releases, it has major news organizations, and the trade publications too. Another thing we want to focus on this time is Tagus, which you can have an individual account to, and there are they have experts that they talk to in the field on both public and private companies, and then you can look within the database to find those transcripts or search within them. And for us, it's, you know, because people are always looking for industry experts, and we'll look at the screenshots together a little bit as well, but it is an investment tool, but it gets kind of beyond that as well. Anyway, it's very helpful. People love it when they get access to it.
It's really great. Well, I mean, we'll take a look at it, but it's like, it's really nice to, if you, again, you can do keyword, but you can search for specific companies if you want that like inside story, right? If like there's a particular product launch, like how did it go about that or something like that. Like it's always worth checking keywords to see if there's a transcript.
And I like that it's, oh, sorry.
I highly recommend.
Yes, and I like that it's like customer, so be like customer of like this company as well. And this just general subject matter experts, and also people who usually it's people who had previously worked in the company is who's talking to them. So that's a good one. And then lastly, you know, patents have been coming up a lot more frequently. So we have in-house, so this is something you have to come to Baker Library to use. It's called Patent Site. And it is a really amazing database that can analyze patent portfolios, like over time, like based on your technology that you might be working on. And I would say we're actually in the process of creating a really nice learning module to learn how to use this database. It's definitely not an intuitive database, but something we had been working towards, something beyond just looking at the PTO, like Google search that we were able to offer students. So we're very excited to have this source. So that's something that you're looking at, recommend this highly, but it is just in-house here at Baker. Here's a little look at Factiva. Like I said, here's a payment search similar to the, you know, we did in the market research, but we're kind of narrowing our focus here in terms of looking at, I always love a word count of 500 because that's one page, and just some other tricks here of looking at like payments in the headline lead paragraph, that payments turns up at least 3 times. With banking or credit. These look kind of complicated once you get started. And again, we're always there to help you with search strategy. That's what, you know, we don't expect you to know how to do all of this starting off. Also, you can limit it by date and then by source. So in this case, we just looked at major news and business sources, but you could look just at industry sources, or you could just look at sources in a specific language. There's a lot of options there. And here's a look at Tagus. I feel like it's said different ways, and whatever way I say it is probably the wrong way. And we have calls with them and I note it and then I call it the wrong thing. So here I just did a quick search of like direct to consumer to see what kind of might come up. I will say that it says here like find me experts. So that is more of a call out for your corporate customer as opposed to us. We get all the content that other people have actually gone out to have Tagus get the expert for them, and then within a certain time frame, they'll post those conversations with the experts. But we here on the academic market cannot get the experts. So I noticed that was very like blatant there, and it's like, oh, we can't actually do that. So I just wanted to point that out. Yes, people ask, which I love. That means people are looking and wonder. So that's always positive. But here's just a really quick search of direct to consumer. They have a very like easy blank slate kind of interface, which I appreciate because some things do not have that. And they'll talk here, they'll get, you'll see that there are 297 expert interviews that talk about direct to consumer. In this case, you could also use D2C kind of as your keyword as well. Talks like marketing officers, brand officers, market researchers, things like that. So there's a lot of good stuff here. And then, oh, sorry, Leslie, yes.
A question. It looks
Yes.
like you limited to a certain.
Oh, that's right. Thank you so much. So I actually looked at just private companies. So my company types, you can't see there, but there's a drop down. So I looked just at private companies posted in the last 6 months. I will say that they do have they don't automatically post things as they get them, because the people who pay for the service at a corporate level, like there is a holding period between when they will release it to the rest of us to take a look at. So you probably, I did 6 months, I would do a year as well. A year out might work based on how many hits you're getting. And then this is kind of the company profile. So if you just want to look at one particular company and what's been posted about them, you'll see that there are some that are specific to the company there, like former manufacturing head, CMO, e-commerce, like, and you'll see you'll see on the expert type who they are, so former exec, consultant, or competitor. And then if they're mentioned elsewhere, those will pop up as well. And it's just a good one. I feel like, yeah, like people ask for it a lot by name. Even in the last year, we've had it maybe for a couple of years. And in this last year, it's become more and more popular. And I think like one person hears about it and tells someone else and tells someone else. It's definitely word of mouth, I think, popularity in the MBA population. And I'll just quickly do our how to get help. So we have a little ask button. So ask us, you can email your question in to us. You can specifically say you would like a research consult. So that's usually about like a half an hour or so we can really, talk about the meat and potatoes of your search and what you're looking for. We always, we try our best and normally do respond within one business day. So if you do send it like Friday afternoon at 4:30, you might not hear from us again until Monday. But otherwise, it'll be fairly quick. And then you can email us, you can call us, and definitely visit us in person. There's always a reference librarian available to talk to, especially in the summer right now. So 9 to 5, all summer long, there's always a librarian on call to help you if you just want to wander in.
I was just going to say, Emily, I must have taken the screenshot like right before commencement because it is showing our semester hours.
Yes.
So just a heads up that we do have sort of more scaled back hours during the summer, 9 to 5 Monday through Friday.
Yes, thanks for catching that. And I don't know, we'd love questions. We could also do, depending on our time here, which I think we can also just jump into Pitchbook, but if you guys have any questions right now, we would love to answer them.
So yes, we can share and will share the slides. And I can update that screenshot to show the right hours, to set expectations. But yeah, I mean, we're also, if you have any sort of specific questions or would love for us to do like a quick example search in Pitchbook or something like that, or Tagus, we're happy to do it. Are the downloads? Yes, hi, Nancy or Nancy, forgive me for probably mispronouncing your name. The download limits for Pitchbook are mentioned on the Pitchbook database page. For CD Insights, there is a download limit, I think of like 500 rows a year, so it's very generous. That's one of the reasons why, even though Capital IQ isn't specifically focused to BCPE, I like to include Capital IQ because basically there's limits in how much you can extract at a time, but there's not really download limits. You can like download 10,000 rows at a time of data. I mean, if it looked like you were scraping your database, like that would raise some flags, but like even like downloading like 30,000 companies in 3 batches is totally doable in Capital IQ.
Yeah, unfortunately, Pitchbook is kind of one of our only databases that really keeps that download limit, and that's across all universities. Like, we are not the exception to that rule. All of your peer schools have a similar arrangement with Pitchbook. So.
Yeah, I know you guys are going into your second year, and so one thing we could give a heads up to while we're here is how we work with alumni and what's available to you as alumni. And so a handful of resources are available to all HBS alumni remotely, but do our licensing agreements, which are mostly academic focused. Like, we're really, there's very few databases that we've managed to get a license for alumni use. Most, but not all of the databases that can only be used in person. But I just bring this up to say, like, definitely take advantage of your Pitchbooks, your CD Insights, your Taguses, while you're a student. They're, we want them to be used. We pay a lot of money for them. It's really great, proprietary data. And so, definitely go and play around. Any other questions?
Well, please, like, if anything you take away from this is to reach out to us with your questions. And I know you are all working really hard. We're here to save you time. So if you're toiling away on Google or what have you, do not stop for a moment, and at least, because we can save you time. I like to think that that's one of the best things we offer, is to save you time, and you can really have more targeted effort based on the resources that you do have through Baker.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you're spending like 10 minutes trying to do a particular kind of search and within it or whatever, and you're just like putting it for long, like, that is what we're here for. Like, I was always scared as an undergrad to like talk to the reference librarian, which is very ironic, but we're super approachable. We want to hear from you. We love to help. So we hope to work with you. We've already